Don't know what happened there, but welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Today, we're talking about Wilfred Ndidi going to Nottingham Forest. Sam, we saw last night he scored a goal and assisted a goal. Now he's making a move to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, I think he's one of those players that he's probably not going to be featuring in every match because of the style that Enzo wants him to play. And I don't think it is his biggest strong suit, playing as more of an attacking midfielder. So, and if I've been honest, a Forest Premier League club, so what you can't really complain from his point of view. He's going to want to get that move out. He's going to want to be playing regular Premier League football. And if you've been honest, in the past 2-3 years, he's not really been playing that at Leicester. So you can understand why he wants to move. I just hope that it's not, we're making a good replacement, lined up because we know we're going to need one.
Yeah, I completely agree. As you can see here, Fabrizio. Yesterday, he came on, scored a goal and assisted. Yes, as much as that shouldn't matter, he was in the squad, he was around the squad. Surely, if he's around the squad, he wouldn't want to be leaving this club, surely.
I think he would though, really, because if you look, how long has he got left on his contract? I don't think he's got majorly.
I think it's the end of this year, maybe next year.
Exactly. So we've got to think from the different side of it. He's going to want to go to a different club. We're going to want to try and cash out on him, I think. And I think, if you're being honest, really, we're trying to reduce that wage bill and bring in players ready for the season. Because I don't think Ndidi is a first team player this season. I think he might be a bit of a sub player, and like it was against Tranmere, he came on and he did well, but it was League Two Tranmere. We should be beating them anyway. I think that for him leaving, just we need to replace him with a decent backup option, and hopefully hopefully we get. So I don't know what the rumoured fee is. I don't think anyone does, but I can imagine it's somewhere between 10 to 15 million for him.
Yeah, it just feels a bit odd because as much as I'm not a big hater of him, but I don't mind if he goes because, like you say, he doesn't suit the role that he knows he can play this year in that DM role, and he's not good enough playing in that more attacking minded role, which Enzo's been playing in recently. So is this time where we do let him go and bring someone else in? Like I say, we brought Cassidy in there now. Does he slot into that role with Pratt being injured? Do we bring another midfielder in like Chair from QPR? Do we bring him in?
I think it definitely opens up it's a weird one because he's not an attacking midfielder. I think the only thing it does is it reduces the wage bill. Because if you ask me, I think the midfield, including Winks, Dewsbury Hall, Cassidy, Pratt, Hamza Chowdhury, I think our midfield is pretty stacked and good enough for the season. I don't think we need another attacking midfielder or central midfielder. Maybe someone on loan, but I don't think we should go out and buy a new one. I think who we've got now is fine for the season coming up. I think it just is purely on reducing the wage bill. Because you've got to remember, Ndidi 4 years ago was linked to Barcelona, Manchester United, Man City. He was considered one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. Linked to go for 80 million. And so what did we do? We offered him a 80 million, type of contract. He was on ridiculous money. I think he was on upwards of 100 grand a week at Leicester. And he hasn't been playing at all ever since he signed that new contract. He's been on the bench. He's been injured. So, and you got to think he's definitely still on 100 grand ish a week in the Championship. So I think it's a bit more of a reduce the wage bill so we can free up some FFP and bring in some more players into the team.
Yeah, I agree. Someone says they're good business for City. Indeed, he has contributed little over the last 2 seasons. Again, since that injury, he's not really been the same player. No. And for me, do you see this as a bad move for him? As much as it is Premier League level, surely he'd fit into many Premier League sides other than Forest. And is he going to Forest because there's no one else coming in?
No, I think you got to look at it. It's close. He's probably happy in the area he lives. He's probably got family in and around the area he lives. A bit like the elements to Aston Villa, Villa, to him, it was a smart move in his eyes that he's got family and he doesn't have to move everything. He doesn't have to go up and down England, doesn't have to move to London, or he doesn't have to move to Manchester. He can just stay where he lives. Same with Ndidi. Nottingham Forest, his house is probably smack that in the middle somewhere, so he probably doesn't have to move that far. He probably doesn't even have to move at all. He could just, change where he goes to training and plays in a different kit and in a better team, really, because they are Premier League. And just because, that they are a better team than us because they didn't get relegated last season. So for him, it is a step up from us because we are Championship at the moment.
Yeah, Facebook user says if personal terms were agreed 2 days ago, according to the report, why has Forest won him playing last night risking injury? Because there's no actual bid been put in, I'm guessing. But from what we've seen from Fabrizio, he's tweeted twice now today saying that it's looking like it's happening. He wants to move, and I'm guessing he was playing because he had no other option not to play last night. And
not necessarily. It could have been a handful of things. I mean, I think the biggest thing would be to convince Forest. I mean, he got a goal and assist. So
now he has, yeah.
It's a bit like, well, maybe we should go for him. I know it was against Tranmere, so let's not get carried away. They're a bad League Two side, so for him to go to Forest, it makes sense, I think, for him, and I think it makes sense for the club to get someone who's on a very high wage bill, and he won't be a regular starter this season. Really, we've seen it already. He's not featured in many games. He played a bit of preseason as a cam, and we were a bit like, what's he doing? Because he wasn't doing very well. But I know he's played decent in the past 2 cup games. But in the Championship, it hasn't really been, you're not really said anything good about him, did he? I don't think anyone has. So I don't think, no offence to him, I don't think he's going to be missed. Not as much as Maddison or Barnes was when he left. I think he's just one of those players that ends up leaving, and I think it's a good business from everyone because we get some money for a player that's going to go anywhere on free.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like I say, Enzo said there's only one way we can get players in now, and that's by letting players go. So
exactly.
hopefully, but we look like we're going to get rid of Ndidi, a few others as well. Dak apparently Burnley the last few days.
Yeah, there's a web post up on LeicesterFanTV.com if you want to read a lot more about all the rumours and transfers. There was a nice big one I made earlier, which does explain a lot of players. Obviously, Ndidi to Forest was on there, but it looks pretty solid that he will be going in the next day or so. Victor Christensen to Bologna. I don't know how to say it. Bologna, however you say it. Italian side on loan. Luke Thomas to Leeds on loan as well. But Samari to Sevilla or Fenerbahce on loan. I see a lot of loan players going. I think we are just... Again, I think that says something, really, doesn't it? That a lot of these players are going on loan. Doesn't that prove that we're paying them too much money? Because the clubs that want them don't want to pay them full price.
Yeah,
don't want to pay for them, and they don't want to pay his wages because I think it's just we have done bad business in the past 2 years, and I think it shows.
Yeah, I completely agree. Last comment of the day then. Mike Rook says, have we got replacements lined up? We haven't got a clue, but I'm guessing if we do get rid of Ndidi, somebody will be coming in.
I wouldn't say necessarily a replacement.
I
would say we have our options.
Yeah.
I think we've heard a lot about Harwood Bells or whatever his name is.
Harwood Bellis, yeah.
Harwood Bellis, Share from QPR. We've had a lot of rumours about these players, but we have also heard... I
don't think he's going to come from Real Madrid, mate. That's one thing I know for sure.
We have also heard Enzo say that he wants to bring in these players, but there is limitations. Again, that's probably due to whatever ruling. We probably have way too many players in the club to bring in anymore. So that there's probably, and we've got to remember we are one of the highest, wage bill team. Well, we are the highest wage bill team in the Championship. So we've got to clear out some of those players. Like Ndidi, like I said, that's probably 100 grand roughly a week. That's cleared up now on the wages.
Yeah, last comment of the day then. Jay does say, really, you're both crazy if you're happy letting Ndidi go to Forest. We need Wilf to stay. As much as I'm happy that we've had that sort of player, he's not been the same player in 2 years.
What's he done in the past 2 years?
He's been put in a more attacking role this year, and he just doesn't suit it. As much as he scored a goal and assist yesterday, against Tranmere, he's not been doing that the last couple of games. And
I don't get what, apart from the fact he's going to Forest, what really matters. I think a lot of people's problems is the fact that people are going to Forest, that he's going to Forest. If he was going to any other club like Wolves, for example, I don't think people would care.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't really matter.
It's just because it's Forest.
I think it's just because it's Forest, people are getting edgy about it. We need him to be gone because if he's not part of the future plans, he's costing too much money. Bring in the players that want to be playing for us, and we have literally 2 days left, and 2 days and a few hours to make these final things actually happen.
I think because obviously he was linked with Bayern Munich as well at one point. I think yesterday. I think if they heard Bayern Munich, everyone would be like, yeah, go.
Like
It's
I
just
said,
because it's Forest.
just because it's Forest. I think people are getting a bit edgy about it. But in my eyes, I think it's smart business to let someone go who's not been doing well and cash in and reduce the wage bill and bring in people that actually want to be at the club. I'm not being funny. If Ndidi wants to go, there's no point keeping him around because he's not going to perform as well. We've seen that with a handful of players in the past, and we'll see it again. So just time for him to go.
Yeah.
That just sums it up.
Tom, it's a little inside joke me and you got from last night. Yeah, at least you had a try. And then last comment I would pull up. Really, how do you feel about the lack of clean sheets in the league? I've said my thoughts on this year at the moment. As much as we've won 6 games in a row, I do still see us struggling to score goals, and that I think we all agree that we are struggling to create goals. As much as we are winning games, we've been struggling until late on in the games.
I think the clean sheets, that comes with a bit more formality. We're not playing. This style of football has never really been played amongst the players before. It's a bit of a different style of football, so you got to give it time. I think we're still easing into it. We've seen it again. We saw it last night that it wasn't the cleanest or prettiest performance, and we saw it against Rotherham where it wasn't clean or pretty. We just got the last minute goal to get us all 3 points, and sometimes that's all you need. Hopefully we do carry on that form. It doesn't matter if we concede, just as long as we win. We could concede every game, but if you're winning the games, it doesn't matter. We have kept a couple clean sheets. For me, I think, like I said, Hull this weekend is going to be a very tough game. But we just need to get, I think, a couple more wins under the belt, a bit more structure to go into it. And like I said, there's still 2 days. The team that we have right now, in 2 days' time, when the transfer is going to be completely different. I think there are going to be 4 or 5 players go and 4 or 5 players come in. As crazy as it sounds, that's just the kind of way we've done it. We're waiting for these players to go. Sod's law, it's just Leicester's way of doing it 2 days before the window ends.
Yeah, I completely agree. But there you go. Wilfred Ndidi, not confirmed yet, but looks like he wants to move and will get the move to our rivals, Nottingham Forest. So get your views and comments in, guys. We'll probably be live later on or even tomorrow if this does get confirmed or if anything else comes in transfer news-wise for Leicester City. Appreciate you all coming on, guys, and we'll catch you on the next show. See you in a bit.